Hi, I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Ben.
And together we are 15 Degrees North.
Today we're going to show you the sights and sounds of Latvia.
Latvia is the largest of the three Baltic states and the most populous.
A large chunk of the country surrounds the Bay of Riga, at the bottom of which is the nation's capital, Riga.
Having previously visited the other Baltic capitals, Tallinn and Vilnius, we were expecting something similar. Medieval, cute and small, but we were actually greeted by something else entirely.
Riga is a sprawling metropolis crammed with monuments and historical architecture from numerous periods.
1/10 of all three Baltic states' populations combined live here, and it has been a major European city since it began as a Viking trading post.
Later, a member of the Hanseatic League, it became the centre of the region known as Livonia and was vastly settled and expanded by Christian crusaders who came to convert the region from paganism in the 12th and 13th centuries.
The city and country have had a tempestuous past, ruled by various empires throughout its history, starting with the Livonian Order of the Teutonic Knights, then the Swedes, the Russian Empire, and finally ending when they declared independence from the Soviet Union in 1991.
The city is split into distinct districts, dating from different periods from its history. The Old Town is medieval and subsequently a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site, littered with churches along its quaint, narrow streets.
Latvia joined the European Union in 2004 and subsequently became a hot destination for tourism. It was European Capital of Culture in 2014 and, as a consequence, has infrastructure to handle the hordes of visitors that fly in via low-cost airlines from across Europe.
But evidence of over-tourism isn't present. Instead, Riga is a well-maintained and friendly city that warmly welcomes those curious to understand its newfound popularity, and it's easy to see why it has become such a must-visit on most travellers' bucket lists.
And like most old towns, its absolute best view is from above, so make sure to climb the tower of St. Peter's Church to get a great bird's-eye view.
A stone's throw from the Old Town is downtown Riga, another UNESCO World Heritage Site, but this one is strikingly different from its medieval neighbour.
Here, the city's Art Nouveau heritage is proudly on display, with street after street of ground buildings constructed between 1904 and 1914. In fact, 1/3 of the buildings in central Riga are Art Nouveau, making it the city with the highest concentration of Nouveau architecture anywhere in the world.
The establishment of a faculty of architecture in the city in 1869 meant that there was a high concentration of architects in the city at the end of the 19th century, and as the city grew and expanded rapidly, it employed these newly trained experts who subsequently adorned the facades of apartment buildings with the style du jour.
Remarkably, they survived both Nazi and Soviet occupation and have now been lovingly restored to their former glory.
I've come up with a word to describe how wonderful it is here. Remarkable.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Do you like it?
No.
Thanks to Riga becoming a modern and metropolitan city in the 19th century, a middle-class bourgeoisie developed for the first time.
An educated intelligentsia formed, starting an explosion of literature, art and architecture. But while the city drew much from its Western European counterparts, this new middle class were also introspective, recognizing the importance of their own culture and heritage.
The Latvian national awakening began in the 1850s, with young Latvians beginning a nationalist movement that would eventually culminate in the Declaration of Independence at the height of the revolution in 1917.
The Russians, distracted by issues at home, were too busy to protest too much, but the Baltics have long been a bee in their bonnet ever since.
Latvia's independence was short-lived following the outbreak of World War II.
Latvia was occupied by the Soviet Union in 1940, the Nazis in 1941, and back to the Soviets in 1945, which would continue until 1991.
Hi, this is Timko Travels, and today we are in the Soviet Union.
In total, Latvia was under occupation for 51 years of the 20th century.
Monuments created by the Soviets can be seen all over the city.
Some of them are beautiful, others not so much.
I do think that much of the Soviet public architecture was beautiful. It's just a shame that it was built to symbolize absolute dominance of the state over its people.
What a gorgeous view.
It really is.
Back in the Nouveau district, and one of its buildings hides a secret past.
Behind its gorgeous facade, this unassuming building was actually the home of the KGB in Latvia.
Known as the Corner House, this infamous building was originally owned by the Interior Affairs Ministry of Latvia, but during the occupation of 1940, a myriad of cells and interrogation rooms were constructed by the Russian secret police.
Today, you can visit the interior and see for yourself exactly how the KGB operated and witness the conditions its prisoners were forced to endure.
Anyone suspected of crimes against the state were taken here. These ranged between acts of blatant rebellion or just statements of political belief, which had been reported by informants.
The KGB were known for their methods using psychological terror, which began with a vast web of informants in all walks of life, most of whom were people who had previously been housed within the walls of the Corner House, only to be released on the promise that they inform on their neighbours.
And the fates of those not released? Either deportation to the gulags of Siberia, or they were simply quietly shot, and the relatives never informed. To get the best out of Latvia, we suggest heading beyond the confines of Riga and heading out onto the open road to explore the country properly.
Nearby are two palaces. The first one, in Jelgava, is the largest Baroque palace in the Baltic states, and it's now a university.
The home of the Dukes of Kurland, it acted as their seat of power, but they actually had a more impressive residence out in the countryside, 40 kilometers away.
The Rundale Palace was a duke's summer residence, built on the site of a castle that they demolished and replaced with this gorgeous Baroque monolith.
Today you can visit this impressive palace with a grand total of £1.50.
Bear in mind that it costs more than £30 to visit similar palaces in the UK, so that's quite a bargain.
And there's a lot to see inside, even if you might not want to venture too far into the gardens unless you're there in the height of summer.
It's lovely and warm inside, but I don't know if you can hear that. But that is the sound of the icy Baltic wind sweeping across the Latvian countryside. Seriously, it's so cold outside, and the interior of the courtyard is like a wind tunnel, but inside, thankfully, the heating is working and it's gorgeous, but just don't venture too far outside.
With so much focus on the Soviets, the Nazi chapter of the Latvian past should not be overlooked.
On the outskirts of Riga is Salaspils, the site of Latvia's sole concentration camp, where Jews from the Baltic states were transported, imprisoned and systematically murdered.
The structures of the camp no longer exist, but the site is now marked by a museum and these haunting but beautiful statues to commemorate those who lost their lives here.
We visited in April,
But that didn't stop us experiencing quite the covering of snow.
and when you're staying in an Airbnb in the middle of the countryside, it made it all the more beautiful, if a little bit challenging to get to.
So we've had quite the interesting journey to get here today, haven't we?
We have.
Oh my goodness, I've never driven in snow like this before, and I kind of assumed that the roads would be gritted.
Oh, that was scary, wasn't it?
A hint to you if you are going to be driving in the Latvian snow, and that is wait until the snow plows have been through. And also drive very slowly where it's shady, because that's the more icy parts. But
scary.
My blimey, how long did it take us? It was meant to take us 50 minutes to get here. It took us an hour and a half because I was driving like a snail. But at least we've not crashed the hire car.
Yay!
Sigulda is a resort town that's well worth your time.
Situated in a valley in the Gouda National Park, this gorgeous region is complemented by a string of monuments, including museums, castles and caves. One of these castles is the Tureda Castle, which was reconstructed from ruins in the 20th century to its former glory, now sitting at the centre of an ethnographical museum.
Reconstructed buildings from across Latvia have been gathered together here, with the castle at the centre.
The final stop on our Latvian tour is the seaside town of Jurmala.
A resort town on the Gulf of Riga, this is the playground of the rich and famous, with vast holiday homes lining the streets underneath the canopy of the forest.
That's right, the forest is still there, but the town is built around the trees. Clever, huh?
The houses are gorgeous timber constructions reminiscent of desperate housewives and look stunning behind their wide picket fences.
Gorgeous.
Make sure to explore the park at the town centre, where the forests have been left untouched, apart from its boardwalks and the tower that takes you up for a bird's eye view of the forest.
And all of it is just a stone's throw from the beach.
And though it was only 8 degrees when we visited, we can only imagine how gorgeous this must be at the height of summer.
touch the Baltic Sea. How is it?
Baltic.
Positively Baltic.
We were very pleasantly surprised, not just by Riga, but by Latvia as a whole.
Prettier than Lithuania and more varied than Estonia, it was our favourite of the Baltic states.
So it was a good thing we saved it until last on our road trip around the three.
Why not do the same as we did? Hop in a car and explore the delights that the Baltic states have to offer.
Thanks for watching.
Be sure to like, share and subscribe.
And follow us on Instagram at 15 degrees north.
Make sure to tune in to our next video to see where in the world we end up next.
See ya.
Bye!